Whoop whoop. Live video is starting. Alright, move my mouse over here today. See if that'll help. Move this around. Start up my iPad. Facebook. And oh, look at there. The first thing that popped up. Sweet. Swipe left to reveal. Alright. Oh, Anthony and Michelle Smith. Hello, Michelle. Good morning, good morning. Just gonna get started, give everybody time to hop on in. Get back to the other screen on my computer. There we go. Alright. Give everybody a few minutes to hop in. Oh, we didn't.
We probably do that real quick.
Let's see. Yeah, we didn't clean those off last time.
I meant to, and then just.
I did, yeah, and we got off and
Yeah.
something else happened and in that direction we went. That didn't work the way I wanted it to.
No, I didn't.
That's okay. Alright, I'm gonna clean off this overhead camera right quick. What in the world? Sorry guys, hold on for with me 1 second here.
Oh, no, we're back.
Last time it was going all wonky on us and we were gonna clean it, and then as soon as we got off the live, we had to run up front in the store and take care of something right quick. There we go. I think that's better. Okay. We're gonna see how that goes. Alright. Grab me another paper cloth.
Now, so good morning, sis.
Good morning, sis. Good morning, good morning. Sorry, we had to quick clean the cameras up ahead. We forgot to do that after we got off the live last time, but got it now. Alright, we got 4 on here right now. Sorry if I had the sniffles, y'all. This lovely weather is killing my allergies.
It's not you, it's me.
It's crazy. It wouldn't be so bad, but like we go from like 99 during the day to like 58 at night, and then it's just a mess. So my nose is all kind of wonky.
Because I think yesterday was like 100, and I was like,
I know, it was so hot. And then this morning we woke up and it's like, oh,
yeah, I know.
it's crazy. Alright, for those of you hopping on, make sure you have your kit, obviously, because that's what we're doing this morning. So your kit, you'll need a pair of scissors like I've got here. You'll want to grab a roll, painter's tape if you have it, masking tape, whatever, a ruler, a sanding block, and just a piece of regular paper, copy paper, and like I said, of course, your kit. So we'll give everybody a second to hop on, which I think we are
Pretty much there.
yeah. Alright, let's see. It shows for, I wish it would tell me who was all watching, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I know you're watching, it shows Michelle Smith is watching, it shows Linnell is watching, but then there
Teresa
shows me there's
watching.
4 people there. Oh, do you see Teresa watching?
Yeah, I see
Okay, see,
Linnell,
it doesn't
Teresa,
show
and
me.
Michelle Smith are watching.
Okay, well it doesn't show me Teresa, so I don't know what's going on, but hello.
Likes to be weird.
Hello. So, I'll let everybody get those things together right quick. Like I said, other than your kit, because this was in your kit, put all the kit stuff up here, all the non-kit stuff down here, and a piece of paper. So, things from your house, these things right here, things in your kit, all that fun stuff up there, okay? And we're going to start by using our sanding block because we need to sand our cup first. Not yet. I'm actually kind of cold. My hands are still super chilly this morning.
Mine are warm, so.
But yeah, sanding block's going to be step number 1 because sanding a sublimation cup for the alcohol inks is going to be the absolute most important thing. because if you do not sand this, it just repels right away. So it don't look very pretty when it starts to repel. So we want to make sure that we sand our cup. Give everybody another minute to hop on. Oh, come on, silly thing. There. Then after everybody is ready, I'll reveal what our cup looks like. I'm excited. I had fun designing this one. It was a lot of fun. I had fun designing all of them. But this one was fun. So.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So, like I said, everybody needs your kit together, and then these few little things from home: scissors, painter's tape, masking tape, sanding block, ruler, and a piece of paper. Just a piece of regular paper. We're going to start by sanding. Sanding. Sanding is always an important part of your cup, but it's very important when you're doing alcohol inks so they don't repel on you. And I'll kind of show y'all what it looks like too before I completely sand mine. I'll put a drop on and show y'all what it looks like, because it just kind of like bubbles up and wants to run away. So.
How wide for the tape? What else size?
How wide for the tape? It doesn't have to be super wide. This one is almost 1.5 inches. But even if you have one that's smaller, like this one I think is a little over 1/2 inch. Yeah, this one's a little over 1/2 inch. We can just do 2 rows, because this one, even with this one, I'm probably, when we get to this step, gonna do 2 rows of it, just so we don't get back drips when we do our top, because we're gonna cover up our bottom section, and we're gonna use the masking tape to keep our paper in place. So it really doesn't matter. You may just have to use a couple of extra rows instead of like just 2 rows with the wider one. So it doesn't really matter. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So first things first. Y'all ready? Ready? I'm excited. This is our cup that we're making with this kit. I'm excited about it. I had a blast, and I know a lot of other people had a blast when we did the tumbler that I did in the Creative Tumblers for Everyone group for their birthday. And it was a mix of foils and rhinestones and glitter, and I don't know, I really had fun making that, and I know a lot of people had fun making it, because not everybody has the patience for a full rhinestone tumbler. But I think something like this is super cute, because you get the rhinestones, you get the bling from the rhinestones, but then it's not all rhinestones, so it doesn't take hours to complete it. So I had fun making this, and I liked the mixture of the alcohol inks and the vinyl and the rhinestones and everything making this one. So this is the cup we are making for this kit. So I'm going to leave it on the table so we can reference it when we're making this one today. So let's make sure we can see. Yeah, there we go. Make sure we can see it. And then I don't know how many of you have a problem keeping up with what box goes to what tumbler. So I just wanted to share right quick that I normally take and I write what the tumbler is on the top of my box. Maybe y'all don't have a problem keeping up with it. I do. I have boxes all over my house, and I'm going, what cup did that go to? So I put my lid, you can hear it, inside the box with the plastic wrap that was over the cup, and then I write on the top of mine what it is. So just a helpful tip to maybe not forget what everything is. So, all right, I'm going to clear off a lot of this off to the side for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my scissors, and I'm going to show y'all, set that to the side for a second. You got 2 of these, like, water droppy looking sponges in your thing. I don't like them this thick. They're super thick. So what I do is I take and I cut it in half and make 2 smaller ones, okay? So to do that, like literally, I just hold it in my hand. I grab my scissors. I'd hold it kind of like steady so it doesn't go like fishy all over the sponge when I cut it. But I just literally take and cut it down the center of your sponge, and you get 2. So that way, instead of y'all having 2 really big ones with the 2 I give y'all in your kits, you can actually have 4 smaller ones. And that way they're not so wide, and you have a little more control over where you're putting your alcohol inks for today. So if you want to go ahead and cut one or both of them in half, doesn't matter to me. I cut both of mine in half, and then I'm just going to need 2 of my smaller ones, because these are going to be for our reds. Red and pink is what we use the sponges for, and then the brush is going to be for our greens for the bottom. So go ahead and do that if you want to, and then we will move to our cup. And then after today's live, I've actually created a Dropbox for our files that we are doing in this group. My only very, very strong request is that please don't share my files outside of our group. I make these just for us here in this group, so that way if you like this tumbler, of course I cut these out for y'all. That was the overall consensus that everybody wanted whenever we were gathering information. So y'all don't have the files to cut these out, but after we complete the cup each month, or each kit, which is every other month, I will load the files for that cup onto the Dropbox, and the Dropbox will always be pinned in the featured section of our group right here. But like I said, please don't share my digital files outside of the group. I would like to keep these here just inside our group, just exclusively for us, okay? Because I want this group to be special and something that's exclusive to us. I don't want it out there for everybody. So you'll be able to cut it as many times as you want, for whatever tumblers you sell. This is a 30-ounce tumbler. I will have the sizing for this for the 30-ounce tumbler. If you choose to do a 20-ounce, you'll just need to resize it to your 20-ounce tumbler, okay, guys? But I will put the Dropbox up in the group after we are done with our live today. Alright, so we're going to sand next, but before we sand, like I said, I'm going to show y'all how it looks if you don't sand your cup. Because the alcohol inks don't stay. I'm just going to start with the green, because that's where we'll be starting with. So, if you take your cup and it's not sanded, you can kind of start, where's my brush? Well, you can already see. You can already see how it's pulling away, and it's not going to stay where you want it. So we started out with a line that literally started up to here. See? So when you brush it, it just bubbles away. That's not what we want. That ain't the look we're going for. So that's why it is very important to sand your cup before you do the alcohol inks, okay?
Get your bottom of it.
Kind of ran over. Oh, looking at the bottom. Don't forget to take this ugly silver sticker off.
Is it sticker?
Yeah, it's a sticker. Yeah, it covers up the bottom of the cup.
You don't want that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just white underneath. I don't know. I don't know the point of those, but anyway, take those off. We don't want them. All right. So, still a little bit left. There we go.
At least the bottom's gonna be green.
Yeah, that's why I kind of did it on the bottom too. We're gonna cover it up. Okay. Let's wipe off the alcohol ink that I splattered on this stuff. Alright, so what we're going to do, just take your cup, take your sanding block, you're going to sand the whole cup. Top, bottom, sides, rims. I mean, we're going to sand this whole thing. If it has any of this shiny spots left, make sure you sand them, because anywhere that is shiny, it's going to repel like it just did, okay? So make sure we get our cup good and sanded. It's a huge part of this cup. Sand it. Whoop. Sand it, sand it, sand it. typically I don't sand over my table, but I want y'all to see me sanding this cup today. And then I'll clean down my mat here before we start. Don't sand so hard that you sand off the white though, okay? So just get it sanded to where that shiny goes away, but don't sand off the white coating. Okay, so the top looks really good. We're gonna hit the bottom. Do the bottom rim. And then the bottom. Because we are going to alcohol ink our bottom. Don't wanna, we are gonna alcohol ink the bottom, okay? So this is what our bottom looks like. So we are going to alcohol ink that as well. So make sure you sand the bottom of your cup. I kind of turn my block. I have like one of those sponge sanding blocks. And so I kind of turn it to the edge. Oh yeah, I didn't get it back on there enough. Sorry.
You're good.
I kind of turn it to the edge, get that crease up into the creases of my cup. And there we go. Okay, so once you know you're good and sanded, go ahead and clean off your area. Clean off your cup.
Clean off you.
Yeah, clean off you. If you made a mess like I did, you know. Alright. Get me.
We worry about cleaning the messes later.
Huh?
So we worry about cleaning the messes later.
Yeah.
After we've already.
Alright. Kind of set that there. We don't want alcohol ink on everything. Move all this up out the way. I just take a disinfectant wipe. I have the Great Value disinfectant wipes. That's what I clean with. So I just take one of those, clean all around my cup, wipe it all off. We don't want sanding dust in our stuff, okay? So wipe that all off. All your creases and cracks and crevices, don't drop it. And then dry it off with a paper towel. While I clean up my mat.
A little easier to clean up than last week.
Yeah. Those little fuzzy things from the macrame didn't want to go anywhere. And then you'll notice, like you can probably see, maybe, kind of, sort of. I have little like alcohol ink dots on my mat. Sometimes you can get them to come up, like I scratched that one and it came off. If you can't, like this is just a giant silicone mat covering my work area. If you can't get it to clean up, you can always take a little bit of alcohol, put it on a paper towel, and wipe them off because it's alcohol ink, so the alcohol on the paper towel will dissolve and wipe away that alcohol ink. Dry my mat right quick. Stop that. Paper towel keeps catching my stuff. Dry off my mat, get my area nice and dry and clean again. Alright, now we have our nice sanded tumbler ready to start our alcohol ink. Get all my stuff back down here in place. And for right now, like literally you can put your rhinestones, your cuts to the side. All we need right now really is our cup, our alcohol inks, our sponges, which I'm gonna put 2 of those to the side because I only need 2, and your chip brush. This is called a chip brush. I like working with these whenever I'm doing the alcohol ink, like wood grain kind of look, because it's irregular, and it's just like, it's going to provide this nice, just like stroke look that we're going for. So I included one of these in everybody's kit, and these are a 1/2 inch brush. Alright, so I'm going to set all of that up there. We don't need any of that right now. There we go. Okay, so if y'all will just chime in, let me know that you've got your cup sanded and wiped off, cleaned off, dried off, and you've got your stuff and ready to go. Just kind of let me know as you're ready to move on, and once everybody chimes in, then we'll move to the next step. I don't want to leave anybody behind. Somebody said ready. Who was that?
Linnell
Teresa
and
said
Teresa.
ready. Linnell said ready. Yay!
It's a composition notebook.
Alright. Michelle says ready. Sweet! I think that's all because we have 4 watching, and I know Anthony's one of them, and then you 3 ladies. So, perfect. Okay. So, for this first step, we're going to just be careful and not get it on the upper part of our cup. If you have 2 pieces of paper and you're okay with using both of them, we can go ahead and cover up and tape off the top part of our cup. Because these greens are darker than like the pink, this darker green is, if you splatter it up top, it may still show under the red. Because I have one spot, let's see if I can find it. That's how hard it is to find, but, oh no, it was opposite. One of my red, I have one little red dot in my green, because I didn't use the paper to cover it up, but, if you feel like you need to, the bottom of our area here is about 3 1/4 inches. So 3 1/4 inches is what we're going to do for the bottom area. So if you feel like you need to, take your paper, wrap it around the top of your cup, and then put your tape on that part. Let me get my tape started. Because we don't want the green and the red, and we don't want the red and the green. Okay, we don't want it either way. So put your paper around. I'm going to put my paper, I'm going to go up about 3 1/2 inches from the bottom and start my paper, only because we have to have room for that tape. And then we're going to put our tape just a little bit over the paper, just enough to hold it in place, but not impede on the area that we're going to be alcohol inking, okay? So you can kind of see, like, it literally is just barely over my paper, and that's where we want our tape to be. And then if we think we're going to be messy, I get really messy with my alcohol inks. Go ahead and put you another stripe of tape over that, okay? The only reason we do tape over the paper is because the alcohol inks will go through the paper and it'll still get to our cup, and we don't want that. So we're going to do 2 rows of our painter's tape if it's thick. If it's a thinner painter's tape, go ahead and do enough rows to where it covers up 2 to 3 inches of your paper, okay? I did not get that straight. That's okay. So, kind of here's what we've got. So here's the top of our cup. I'm going to fold this, So here's the top of our cup. Bottom is exposed. We have about 3 1/4 inches exposed at the bottom. So 3, a little over a quarter, that's going to be okay. About 3 1/4 inches is what we're working, or what we're looking for at the bottom, okay? So let's get that taped off and covered, and let me know when you're ready. We'll get started with the alcohol inks. Sorry, I went to the bathroom. What was the measurement? Okay.
Sorry, I was just about to say.
Yeah, so at the bottom, you want to start your paper at about 3 1/2 inches up, and then your painter's tape down from that. to leave you about 3 1/4 inches on the bottom. So there's about 3 1/4 inches, okay? That's about what we're looking for on the bottom of our cup. My ruler keeps sliding, but that's about what we're looking for. And the only reason I'm really picky right now with this is because of our design that's going to go on the top. We still want to make sure it's going to fit whenever we get ready to put that over the red and not impede into the white band that goes around the center, okay? So, let me know when we have it all covered and taped off if you are cover and taping. If you're not cover and taping, let me know. Ready. Once all 3 of you ladies are ready, we will get alcohol inking. I'm going to move my sponges and my red and pink out of the way for right this second. We're going to need our 2 greens and our chip brush for this first step. And I got the alcohol inks for this one from Crafty Cow. I really like their Intense Inks line. They are super vibrant and really pigmented, so they're really great. Yay! Thanks, Michelle, for letting me know. Perfect. They're really pigmented, so they really have strong colors, without having to do a bunch of layers of the alcohol ink, so I really, really like these. I have a bunch of the Marabou alcohol inks, too. And these are good, too. Just some of the colors aren't quite as pigmented as I would like, and so I have to do a couple of layers. I really like the browns, like the caramel, the brown, and the other brown. I use those for my wood grains, and they work nicely because I layer so much. But for this cup, I really wanted us to have nice, strong pigmented alcohol inks, so we don't have to do multiple layers of these. So my intense inks came from Crafty Cow, which it says on the bottle, and then our rhinestones today came from Glitter Fetish. I even got alcohol ink on my bag. Anyway, these came from Glitter Fetish. These are 4mm resin rhinestones. I get my my rhinestones from either Glitter Fetish or Tropic Glitter Company. Both of them I really, really like, and they're not like crazy expensive. So I really like both of those places. That's where I got today's stuff. Alright, so Linnell and Teresa, if you'll let me know when you are ready to move forward. You got it all covered and taped off if you're taping. And then we'll move to the next step. I try to warm up my hands. Crazy. I hope everybody had a good week. This was our last week of school for this school year, so excited that is good. Also nervous. I now have a junior hire on my hands.
Woo.
So.
Teenage years.
And Elsa's ready. Yeah, I know. She turns 12 in December, and I'm like, ooh, preteen. That's okay. We made it through the first one. Ready and ready. Perfect. All right. So, what I did for mine when I was making this one is I started with the darker one, the Into the Mystic. It's kind of a tilly turquoisey kind of color, which I know rhinestones are typically, watermelon rinds are typically like green. But I think these two colors went very well together. Of all the greens that I tried from Crafty Cow, I really liked the combination of these two. So, we're going to start with this darker one, Into the Mystic. Put that one to the side for just a second. Go ahead and take your lid off. I'm going to scoot that back a little because I don't want it to drip drop. Okay, so what we're going to do is exactly like what I did on this one. Let me see that one for a second. We're going to just do stripes down. I tried to keep them about about the width of the brush. Some of them, as you can see, got a little out of hand, and so whenever I made it all the way around my cup, that one was a little skinny. But whenever I do that, we're going to drip it down, and we're going to brush it The bottom will be done after we get our sides done. So don't worry about the bottom. The only thing about the bottom is try not to get too much alcohol ink where it starts just dripping down the bottom and then we're worrying about a bunch of drippies, okay? So we're going to take our cup. We're going to hold it like this. I kind of put my hand in here. We're going to hold it like this and we're going to go one, drip, right down. And then we're going to just brush it, okay? Now that's going to be kind of thick, so what I do, because we get a lot on our brush, so I kind of take, as I kind of get that one brushed off, and I start the next one. Okay? I know it's not enough on this spot, but sometimes if you get too much, it's going to look really like blotchy, and I don't want it to look really blotchy. So we just want a nice brush stroke. And then we have our spot to move for our next one. Okay? So that's what we're doing. So we drop a little line. I'm going to go to the next one to repeat for y'all. Drop a line of it on there. Brush it in. Oop, try not to go. My bristles got out of hand on the side, but that's okay because we're going to do the green, the light green in between here. So if you get too much, you can always start your next stripe. That's what we're doing. Make sure that you get your green all the way up to your tape though. Don't get too far down because yes, we are removing this tape and yes, we will have that white band going around the middle, but the white band is like, it's wavy. Excuse me. So we don't want that white gap at the top of your green stripe to be where one of those upper waves hit and then you have a white block there, okay? So I'm just going to go around the whole bottom of the cup doing the same thing. Kind of space it out. Whoop, a little too much came out on the top there. So see how too much came out on that one? I'm just going to take and start my next one, okay? Wipe off some of that, start my next one. There we go. Yeah, and that went down to the bottom. Okay. If you get to the bottom, see how mine ran because I got too much. If you know where some of your other ones are, you can go ahead and start swiping those in, okay? We'll just make sure that another one comes there because that's how we do our bottom. We just line up with the alcohol ink and we're just going to brush it in to the same spots that our dark lines come off, okay? So, over there and down if you get too much like I did and it ran. I try not to do that, but it happens. Alcohol inks can be a little wonky to work with, but once you get the hang of them, it's easier to know what to do.
Honestly, I didn't even realize that it was like a turquoise color. So once you get that other green on there, it looks pretty.
It brings it more of the green out instead of like the blues in it.
Yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
Because here it's like, oh, that's blue. But yeah, once you get that lime green on there, turns out really good.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna keep doing that around. Kind of have an even spacing. I mean, it doesn't have to be an exact science. We're having fun. I don't want anybody to be stressed out about it. If all else fails and you really don't like it, take you some alcohol. Get as much off as you can. Start over. It's just alcohol ink. It's okay. And then with this one, because this one where I got too much, it really ran. So for this one, you can see how this line is. So whenever I come up, I'm just going to make sure that I have a dark green line right here. And this, see this? This is why we have the tape and paper up top. Because otherwise we'd have to be really careful where we're putting our alcohol ink. I'm going to make this one a little bit lighter. Yeah. Sometimes I hold the bottle a little too high up and too much comes out. take your chip brush, just brush that on, and then over the bottom. And if you weren't as messy as I was with the bottom, we'll show how to do that in just a second. But I want everybody to have a chance to get the main stripes of the dark green around the bottom of the cup. Okay? How's everybody doing? I know you'll probably have your hands full, so I'll give everybody a few minutes to kind of finish that spot or those spots and then let me know where we're at. That's what we've got right now. I need to bring another one of my cup holders up here. Sit this one kind of up here. I'm gonna grab one of my other tumbler holders for that one. Hang on. There we go. We'll put that on that one. There we go. Make sure we're still. Oop. There we go. All right. Okay. Let me know how we're doing when you get a chance to let me know, okay? Here's what we should have so far. Just the dark green stripes brushed around. Like I said, we're not stressing about it. It's not perfect. The watermelon rind is not perfect. We're just going for the look, not perfection.
Mine's on a watermelon, aren't perfect.
Not by any means. Ready. Awesome. Got Michelle ready. It's kind of funny saying Michelle since my name's Michelle. I think it's neat. Teresa's ready. Give Linnell a minute and see how she's doing. Mom and Dad's watching. Probably Mom, but hi, Mom, Dad. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay. So Linnell, just let me know if you are good and ready, or if you need a minute, if you can, or if you have a question, let me know. And we are going to have to finish this cup kind of in two parts because with the alcohol ink, excuse me, you really have to let that alcohol ink dry really, really well and let the alcohol dissipate. I typically, I won't touch this cup to epoxy it until tomorrow. Because if there is still alcohol from the inks left in the cup and you go to epoxy it, it's really going to repel your epoxy. Epoxy does not like alcohol. So I always wait overnight and let my cups really, really dry when I do alcohol inks. Otherwise, you're going to have problems. Typically, you're going to have problems with your epoxy wanting to repel, and then you've got the lovely divots and all that fun stuff, and we don't want that on our cup. So we're going to go over all of the alcohol inking today. I applied my vinyl to this cup straight over the alcohol inks. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, that's totally okay. You can apply it after you get one coat of epoxy on it. It's not a problem. You'll epoxy it. I'll show you how to apply them, and then we're going to epoxy over the vinyl cuts. We'll come back next Saturday, which I know is the first Saturday of June, which is scheduled just for basically a calendar release day. But we're going to come back next Saturday and finish up this cup. But for that, we will need to have our alcohol inks done, which we're doing today. You'll need to have your vinyl, both the black piece and the white piece applied, which, like I said, I will show you that today. And then you'll need to have it epoxied smooth and ready for these rhinestones, because once you apply your rhinestones, You won't epoxy over it again, okay? We don't epoxy over rhinestones because it takes away their shine. It covers up their facets, okay? But we will come back and finish the rhinestoning of this cup next Saturday. But, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply my vinyl straight over my alcohol ink when we're done today. But if you don't feel comfortable with that, that's totally okay. Mine was a disaster and had to start over. Okay. Alrighty. That's not a problem. Let me know if you need something. Like I said, we're not going for perfection. Just a light and brush, okay? Just light and brush. So we will finish up the rhinestoning part of this next Saturday. You can kind of see, like, I mean, literally, I just rhinestoned over the watermelon seeds. And those are vinyl just to give me a good guide of where to put them instead of me going, okay, one maybe there, one maybe there, I don't know, maybe there. It's just already going to be there for us. And then we'll rhinestone over the band. And I did the band in white just to give us a nice white base for our white rhinestones. So we'll finish the rhinestoning part next week. Of course, all the lives will be saved if you can't make it. It's still messy, but ready. Okay, that's okay. We're going to apply another color on here anyway, so it's okay. All right. So if yours didn't run over the ends like mine, what you do for the bottom, which I've got some that aren't exactly thick like I want them. One of my brush bristles came off, so we're going to take that and throw it away. So if you didn't get enough, you literally just take just a tiny bit on the bottom and then just do the same thing. Same thing. Just brush it. A little bit of alcohol ink and brush it, okay? So, if you didn't get enough on the bottom from the drippies, that's the same way you would do the bottom of your cup. It's basically a repeat of the side, but with a much smaller amount of alcohol ink. And you just come right off of the sides from your color. So you want it to continue. You want it to just look like one continuous thing, okay? I'm going to put the cap on my dark green. We're going to open up our light green. And this one is called Where the Green Grass Grows. It's a nice, pretty, bright green. And for this, like, really, we're doing the same thing again. You're going to notice I'm not rinsing out my brush. It's totally okay. You don't need to rinse it out. After every color, whenever you're doing the same essential colors, both of these are green. I'm not worried about it. So I'm going to take my light green now, and I'm going to go with a strip right down the center of my dark green spots, okay? So right down the center. And then we're going to brush that out. And then you can kind of see I didn't put enough, but that's okay, because what we want, if you have to add a little bit more, add a little bit more, and you're going to blend the edges of your bright green and your dark green together. So you just brush over it until they are blended to your liking. Adding a little more as you go, and brush it out. You'll notice whenever I just added that little bit, it wanted to basically essentially wipe away what was there. You just keep, see how that did? You just keep brushing. Just keep brushing and it'll blend. It'll blend it right in, okay? And your stripes can be as thick or as thin as you want. Like some of mine, see, like today I went a little thicker. You can go thinner like these on the original cup. You can go thicker. That part is totally up to you. You want it thick, do thick. You want it thin, do thin. If you think it's too thick, come back with your darker one. Let me get the lid open again. Tiny bit. Come on. And brush it in. Think it's too wide of a stroke, come back with the other color and brush it in. with that light green. I'm gonna brush it in. If you get drips over the edge, brush them down as much as you can. The whole key is making sure that you don't get too much alcohol ink out at once, and then just brush, 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 blending that in. Let's see, we need a little bit more. You can still see white. Actually going to add a little bit of my dark green right here on this side to darken that back up because it got a little thin on my dark green. See? Just add and blend all the way around, okay? Same steps. If you open your darker color, don't get it mixed in with your lighter color. Don't confuse the two bottles, but apply and blend all the way around. Okay. Same steps. And if you get it over the edge, just like a while ago, just blend it in. Blend it into the white triangle part of the bottom, okay? And you can see kind of the brush stroke lines that's in here. That's why you want to use a chip brush. It's a really strong bristle brush. It's not a soft bristle brush, and it's not perfect either. It's irregular. So that's how you are able to get these brush stroke lines in here. And that's what you want for this kind of cup. Anybody has any questions, let me know. Anthony, of course, is in here helping me monitor, so even though I'm working and not really looking at the iPad, he can still say, hey, somebody's got a question or a problem or whatever, just let me know. And get enough on that spot to work it in. And then I got too much, that's okay. And when you're working it into that bottom, like you can use the tip and kind of turn it sideways one way or the other to really work into that triangle without having a big brush stroke on there. Go back in because whenever I was trying to get that white right here on this one, it went over too far into my dark. So I'm going to take a little bit of my dark. I'm going to go back into that area to bring my dark color back out in that area. There we go. white spots in this, but I'm afraid if I put the lighter color, it's going to wipe out my dark. So we're going to add dark. And do that area, blend that in. There we go. Okay. So once you've got your light colors on the side of your cup, go ahead and do any bottoms that you still need, okay? And it's really going to take just maybe a drop to do the bottom in these lighter green sections because it's such a smaller section. And then just blend it in that little triangle shape area there. Just about a drop. Boop. A little more in here. Okay, so this is what we've got so far. When you can, let me know how you're doing. I'm back here. Now if you've got problems, need help, have questions, let me know. Here's what we've got so far. Mine is a disaster. Aw. What's wrong with it, sis? What's a disaster? Did your inks run? Did you get too much, too little? Not sanded enough if it's repaling? What you got? What's going on? Oh, sis. Okay, well, what happened? Did your inks like run into each other too much? Did we get too much on the bottom? Too little? Too wide? What do we got going on? Don't forget, we can be our own worst critics. So you may think it looks awful when it actually looks good. So don't be hard on yourself. Mine looks okay, Michelle says. Okay, all right. Are you okay with moving on with what you have, Michelle? What do you not like about it if it's just okay? Doesn't look anything like yours.
Well, it's not going to.
Well, I mean, it's you doing it, so it will look exactly like mine. But do you have, the different colored stripes? They're not all like, running into each other, things like that. Is this kind of where we are? Do we have separate stripes going around? We got that? Yeah, they're not all going to be even. I mean,
they're not going to be entirely straight.
You can look at mine. Yeah, they're like, this one's like, it's okay.
We're not going for perfection.
No, this is not perfection. Alcohol inks are hard to get perfect. They are a liquid. It's gonna run everywhere. Not as good as yours, but it will do. Okay, it's okay. I have been messing with alcohol inks for a long time, and the more, yes, I have separate stripes. Okay, so we're okay. The more you mess with the alcohol inks, and the more you play with them, and the more you do with them, the more comfortable you'll get with it. The more comfortable you'll see how much to tilt your bottle, how much ink to come out, how much to apply, the brush strokes that you need, and things like that. So I'm not looking for perfection. I'm wanting to teach y'all techniques, fun environment, not stressful. I don't expect everybody's cups to look perfect, I promise. But if we can get the gist of what we're doing and it gets you a little more comfortable with working with the alcohol inks or working with rhinestone or applying vinyl, because we're at all different stages, and that's okay. So if this cup gets you a little more comfortable with alcohol inks, you do this cup again, that gets you a little more comfortable with alcohol inks. The more you do it, I finally got mine fixed. Mine ran everywhere. Okay. All right. I'm glad you got yours fixed. Perfect. So, I mean, the more that you do with them, the more comfortable you'll get with yours. I don't expect y'all to be perfect today. By no means. It is totally okay. But if it gets the gist of the technique, it gets you one more step more, closer to being more comfortable with them than you were before we started. That's what we're going for. We're not going for perfection. We're learning. We're all learning together. So that's okay. It doesn't have to look like mine, I promise. It is okay. As long as we've got the gist of it, we've got our lines, they're separate. We don't have wormy runs everywhere. We're okay. We're good. All right. So if everybody's got this spot, we've got our bottom comfortable where we want it. We've got our sides nice and comfy where we want it. Now let's go ahead and take off this layer of tape and paper, and then I'll show y'all how to retape it so we can do our reds, okay? Our red and pink. So, don't stress. Don't stress. Not meant to be stressful. We are all learning. It's okay. If you can save any of your tape, go ahead and save it. Like this one, I just barely have a little bit on here, so I'm going to save that one. This other one is too far gone. We ain't trying to save this one. It's covered in green, and I don't want my green on my red.
I like to think of this as it's a class, not a test.
Yeah, we are learning. I don't expect you to be perfect. Oof, that one did. I got a little too much underneath there, and you can see. See, so if we wouldn't have put the tape, like that would have been everywhere. So that's why we have the tape over the paper, because the paper is super absorbent. So since I crumpled mine and all that fun stuff, I'm getting a new piece of paper. And then I think, do I have the alcohol in here or do I have it in the other room? I don't know. I'll look in just a second. I'm going to grab a paper towel and put a little bit of alcohol on it to get this away from here. That way y'all can see too, if it bled like mine, how to get it off. So let me grab another piece of paper right quick from my printer.
What does your alcohol look like?
It should be in a little bottle. Let's see my acetone, my Mod Podge. I've got my glycerin mix, but I don't see my alcohol. It is probably in the other room. All right. 1 second, ladies. I'll be right back. Gonna grab this before we started and I forgot, but I honestly thought it was in the cabinet there. Okay. And this is just 91% isopropyl alcohol. That's all it is. I'm gonna tear off a piece of my paper towel here. And I'm just gonna apply little bits to this folded edge of my paper towel, so just a little bit here. And I'm literally just going to work my way up to that. Just wiping away as much as I can. It doesn't have to be perfect, that's okay. So like literally just wiping away what I don't like. It's not going to completely go away, and that's alright because we're going to cover it up. But it's better than having that super dark green blob down below, okay? So here's kind of my paper towel. I just folded it, put a little alcohol, and there we are.
So I didn't put my paper on straight. So it's off. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Should be, right? Because we'll be putting this over.
That's okay because we're gonna have this over it. Excuse me. Essentially, what we're doing is we're just kind of making sure that we have a straight enough line for when we put this over the two where they meet, for our rhinestones. That it's gonna cover up. The color's gonna show. This is gonna cover up any white that's left, and we don't have any like white chunks that aren't colored to where whenever we do this, because like so let's say we got it like way off, and when we put this on, well then we have a white chunk of space here, and that's not what we want. But I mean, if it's not exactly straight, that's okay, because this'll help when we cover it up. All right. Okay. Okay, so now what we're going to do is kind of the opposite of what we did on our paper here. So we're going to cover up now this green. But what we want to do is go just enough, make sure we don't have any wet. Okay. We're going to go just above, and I mean just barely above our green. Okay. Just above our green with our paper. Just a hair, because we just want a hair line. And this is a straight cup, so if my paper lines up straight, then we should know that we're straight across. So see how my paper lines up exactly over each other? But you can kind of tell, hopefully y'all can see kind of through the paper. See where my green ends? You can see that dark, and like this is just a hair over. The paper is just a hair over our green, okay? And then we're gonna tape just a hair over that, just like the bottom. We don't want a super thick white line around here because we don't want a super thick line of white to where it messes with the curves of our white stripe. Wait. Let go. There we go. So just enough to give us a seal. And I mean barely. Try to make it to where y'all can see, like literally my paper is right here and then the tape is right above it, okay? Just a very thin line of white is what we want to go for. Smush it down really good to create that barrier, so hopefully we don't have any leakage. Like our green seeped into our upper area. We don't want that to happen on this, because if your red seeps into your green, then you can't just take your alcohol and wipe it away, okay? And this one will be easier because we're using the sponge to apply it, so it won't be quite as haphazardly messy. And then right here, like you can see where my tape kind of wrinkled up, I'm going to put another piece of tape over that just to smooth it out a little and give me a little bit better of a seal. So that way it doesn't, hopefully doesn't seep up under there. Brush bristle underneath there, we don't want that. Okay. And then I'm going to go one more stripe below that just to make sure we have enough coverage. Whoop, I didn't pull off a big enough piece of tape. Alright, let's see here. I'm just going to kind of cut off some of this. I don't want so much extra at the bottom. And then just kind of fold it over, okay? Because we want to protect our green. So we've got our paper, a hair over our green, a tape, a hair over that, 2 lines of tape taped off, and then I snipped off some of my bottom of my paper, folded that down. We just want to protect what we just worked so hard for. Put my greens to the side, get my red and my pink and my 2 little spongy brushes. Alright, so let me know when you are all taped off and ready to move to the top section.
All set, ready.
Awesome. 1 down, 2 to go. Michelle's ready. Alright, so Teresa, just let me know when you are ready. And everybody got their sponge cut in half, right? Just took that big old sponge and held it and chopped it down the middle. If you want to leave yours big, that's okay, that's cool. You have 2 really big ones. I just like the control of a smaller piece of my sponge. So just make sure you have that cut in half if you want to. Yes, cool. My nose, my poor nose. Teresa's ready. Okay. Alright, so on this, I used red and pink. I used both colors on the top of mine. If you don't want to use both of the colors, totally cool. If you want it all pink, you want it all red, that's okay too. But I used both colors on mine, and I'm going to go ahead and use both colors again today just to show you how I got this one here. So, alright, so this is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to apply the alcohol ink straight to our tumbler. We're actually going to put the alcohol ink on our sponge, okay? So I'm going to start with our red. It's called Little Red Rooster. Yeah. Alright. So I'm going to put a little bit of my alcohol ink on my sponge here at the end. Okay? And then I'm just going to start in on a spot.
Oh yeah, way more controlled.
Yeah, way more controlled. So I'm just going to start in on a spot, and I'm going to put my red down. Kind of sort of making a line. It doesn't have to be a perfect line, but just kind of dabbing it onto our cup. Okay? So here's what we got so far. Pretty simple. A little bit of red alcohol ink on our sponge, and dabble, dabble, dab, 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 dab away. Don't like use it like a brush. Use it like a sponge, okay? Dab it, don't brush it. Okay? Excuse me. And then repeat, okay? So we're going to put a little bit more on here. Kind of give it a little bit of a space, and we're going to kind of repeat. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not going for perfect. We don't want perfect on this one because we're going to come back with our pink and blend in spots of pink. So we just want splotches of red. If you want more pink, less red, then do smaller red, bigger pink when we get to the pink in a second. But literally just splotching it on. Okay? And repeat all the way around.
I don't know if anybody else may have this question. Thought, why would we apply it to the sponge first and not to the cup first?
It gives us more control to where it's not running around our cup. And with the sponge, like, we're not brushing it, so we don't really want that streak of it. We want it to be more of a haphazard sponged on instead of it looking like a streak. More control, different look, different applicator. Didn't get all the way up to the top on those, so.
And also another question, because I'm curious,
Uh-huh.
if you were to just put it on the cup, not in a streak or anything, it would just splash around whenever you go to do the sponge. Correct?
Yeah, you get like a puddle. Yeah. Okay. All the way around. This sometimes I feel like I need 5 hands. Okay, it's not pretty. Not going for perfection. Literally, it's just swiped on. And don't worry, like you can see where I got the top, because you want to make sure you get your tops. And you're going to get it on the inside, and that's okay. Once you get your first layer of epoxy on here, you can come back, and even after you're completely done, you can come back and clean that inside up with some alcohol, and it'll wipe that away. So don't stress if it went on the inside of your cup.
Because you always end up washing it out anyways.
Yep. It's more controlled, but you do get it a little more on your fingers this way with the sponge.
That's okay. Because that
Yeah.
just washes out.
Yeah, just get you some alcohol, wash it off, we're good. Right now it kind of looks like we're doing a flag. Haphazard flag.
Kind of
Okay.
looks like those tie-dye shirts.
Yeah,
Kind of.
kinda. Alright, so here's where we're at. Got our red on. Kind of haphazard strokes. Your haphazard lines. Not strokes, because we didn't brush it on. Here's where we're at. Dab my last one a little bit more. I think it's still a little heavy, so it's not going to dry very fast. Hold this up off my stand because I don't want it to mess up on my stand. Repelled in some spots. How do I fix that? Okay, so if your red is repelling in some spots, that just means you didn't get that spot sanded. If you can take your sanding sponge or sanding block and just carefully sand in that spot and then clean it off, get that sanding dust off of there if you can, just very carefully. But if you're having any repelling, that just means you didn't get it completely sanded in that spot. If it's not real bad, it's okay if you can get some of it to at least stick, because even on mine when I did this, that's kind of what this spot is here. I didn't realize that wasn't totally sanded, and so it wanted to kind of repel. So where you see some of the white, that's kind of what happened, is it didn't get totally sanded, and it wanted to repel in some little spots. So if it's repelling and not sticking at all, just kind of carefully take your sanding sponge and carefully sand that area and clean it up right quick. Come back here. Keep knocking my pink over. We're gonna look like we're bleeding for just a little bit, but I usually take some alcohol, rub it on my fingers, it'll wash, pull most of that out, and then just wash my hands. So. Alright, so let me know how y'all are doing when you get a chance. Let me know if we're doing okay on this step, if we're ready to go forward. Just let me know. Ready, awesome. The nail's ready, awesome. Michelle, how are you doing? Ready, perfect. Okay, so we're gonna take our red sponge and our red alcohol ink and kind of set it to the side. Another reason I like these is because they have kind of a flat bottom, so they'll stand up for me, and I'm not laying all that alcohol ink straight on my mat. So that's another nice thing. But we're gonna take our pink, and this one's called Cherub Rock. And we're gonna essentially do this one the same way, but we're gonna apply less alcohol ink on our sponge this time, so it doesn't spread so far, okay? So just a couple of drops. And then we're gonna apply this kind of in these white areas. And what I do is I kind of take and I kind of blend it in as I'm going. Because I don't really want this to look so stripy. You can kind of see where it's a little more blended on the original cup. But I'm going to get my pink in here. And then I come back with my red and take away the areas that are too pink for me. And if you like the pink, like when we get it all in here, if you like that much pink, leave it. That's totally your call.
That is your creative decision.
Yep. So we're going to fill in these areas with the pink. And like I said, just a drop or two, not as much on here as we did in the red, because it's not as big of an area we're trying to cover. But you do want to blend into those edges of your red. We're going to work all the way around our cup. Filling in those areas. Another drop or so. Fill it in. Okay. Fill in those little areas. And if you have any areas of red that you want a little pink in, you do it the same way. Just put you a drop or two of your pink on your sponge, and just kind of work it into where you want that pink to be. And then just work it in. You can add some of that lighter into your darker red. And if it spreads out too much, come back with your darker red sponge. Okay? Dab that back in. If you don't have any darker red left in your sponge, just put another drop in there and blend it in. Okay? Let me know when you have your pink applied. So we just did the same thing with that pink all the way around our cup. And you can see the colors look a little bit different after they're epoxied too. So it will change just a little. Gel's ready, perfect. Open my red back up because I'm going to add some red to these pink because I don't want it so stripy looking. My nail's ready, perfect. Teresa, let me know when you're ready. So now we're going to grab our little red rooster, our darker red alcohol ink, and our red sponge. We don't want to put as much this time. We literally just want to put like a drop or two on here. And then wherever you want it to be the darker red instead of pink, we're going to come back in with our red. So I kind of just want my pink to kind of look like little splotches or little spots throughout. So I'm just going to come in and kind of haphazardly add some red over the pink. And not make it look so stripy, because I don't want my pink to be in stripes, or my pink and red to be in stripes like my green. We just literally just want some spots of the pink showing through. And you could, like, whenever you're doing your red, if you just wanted to leave white spots for your pink, that would be okay too. I just find it easier just to kind of add my red in after my pink is on. And like if I have my pink spot here and a pink spot up here, I don't want to do on the next section, I don't want to do the same pink spot here, pink spot here. So I would do like red here, leave maybe pink more in the middle and at the top, instead of in the same spots as the one right next to it. So add another drop. Okay, so now we're going to do red down here and red up here, and leave more of the pink at the center and top. I know it's kind of hard to see with everything being kind of the same color, but like my pink is here, got red here, and pink here. And then this one I have pink here, red, red there. So just kind of opposite, haphazardly making some sections of red in our pink. Ooh, too much. It's splattered. If you get too much and it's splattered into your red section, just work it back in. Don't leave the splatter, because you'll see that spot. You'll be able to see that splatter spot in your red once it settles. Just keep going all the way around your cup using the same technique. And this also helps because you'll notice that the red isn't as dark as the red stripes in this, around this. So this also kind of helps get that variation of color in the top of your cup, and helps it not be just two colors, not be flat. My two stripes ended up next to each other with the same spots, so just gonna do a little bit. Let's see, let's go a little further up with this one, and then go a little more at the bottom, so our pink in these two sections just won't be as large. There we go. I am happy with that. I'm going to turn it around, make sure I don't have any weird white spots left over that I didn't get blended very well. And once you're good and have good coverage, you're happy with your spots and coverage and all that fun stuff, and this part is done. Your alcohol inking is done. Alright, and once you're good with your alcohol ink, red spots, go ahead and take off your tape and your paper off of your green section. Turn it upside down.
No touching.
Yeah, be very careful touching the red. The green should be plenty dried. If you have wet alcohol ink on your hand, be careful touching the green part. Use the hand that not so covered. That doesn't have any wet alcohol ink. But you can see, I'm going to bring this up so y'all can see in that camera. You can see the little thin white line that we've got right there. And that's what we want. That's where we're going to have our white, like swirly do going around our cup. So I'm going to leave this sitting here for a second. Y'all let me know when you get caught up and you're good with your red and pink section and your tape and paper is off. I'm going to let that dry. You can kind of see I got a little bit of bleeding from that red coming down, but with the brush or with the sponge, it's much more controlled than the brush, and so it's not as much of a bleed, and it didn't run into our green. And the reason that I use the paper instead of just putting tape straight over the alcohol ink, done, sweet, is because whenever I remove my tape from my alcohol ink section, I don't want that tape to pull up any alcohol ink. So I want my paper nice and covered on that alcohol ink to protect it. So whenever I remove my tape, we're just removing the tape and not anything from our cup that maybe isn't dried or set just yet. I'm going to Michelle, now that you're done with all your alcohol ink part of your cup, how do you feel about it? Did it turn out better? Does it look like what you wanted it to? Are you okay with how it turned out for this cup? How do you feel about it now? Teresa's done. Cool. How do you feel about yours, Teresa? How do you feel about how it's looking so far? Do we throw away our sponges, or can they be cleaned and reused? You can clean them and reuse them. You can clean them out with some alcohol. My red one is like pretty soaked. It's coming together sweet. My red one is pretty soaked, so honestly, instead of wasting alcohol to get this one cleaned out, I probably will just chunk this one. But you could always let it completely dry. You could use the other side of it too. You could take your scissors and cut another angle into that side and reuse the other side. So you don't have to throw it away. You can clean them out with alcohol. Or like I said, you can let it dry, snip the other side at an angle, and use the other side. My pink one, I probably will just try to clean it out with some alcohol, which I'll kind of show y'all in a second. If I can trust myself to not make a mess, I'll grab my little trash can and show y'all how I clean them out. So Linnell, how do you feel about yours now? Michelle said hers is coming together. Teresa, Linnell, how do y'all feel about how yours looks now that all the colors are on the cup? I know we don't have the vinyl on yet, but are you good with the way your watermelon looks so far? Oop, forgot there was a board sitting there. Stand that guy back up. Alright, so while we're waiting on them to kind of let me know how they're feeling, it's okay, I like the sponge method better than the brush. Yes, the brush does take a little bit of getting used to. I understand that completely. It's okay, it didn't turn out how I wanted, but it works. Okay, again, once you get a little more comfortable, you'll get the hang of it a little more. The brush definitely does take some getting used to, getting your strokes down and things like that. I've done several of the wood grain cups and things like that, so I'm pretty familiar with my brush strokes. But the more that you practice with it, the more comfortable you'll get with it. So I totally understand that part. Alright, so for cleaning, I'm gonna move that one out of the way because I don't need alcohol splashed on that. I'll be really mad. Alright, so I take alcohol, and like I said, this is just 91% isopropyl alcohol that you get at the pharmacy from your local store. For my brush, I just literally, I will take and I will drip this on to my brush, and you can see the green running off of it.
Really just.
Yep. And then I'll get my paper towel, kind of wash off what I can. Need more paper towel. But literally that's how you clean a brush. You can do this over the sink. Obviously in my room here I don't have a sink, but we're gonna use trash cans so we don't make a mess everywhere else. But you just kind of keep going until it's cleaned out. You'll see the more you kind of clean it and repeat, the alcohol is more running clear now. The alcohol ink may stain the tip of your brush, but as long as it's running clear, coming off clear, see, it's not leaving green on the paper anymore, but you can see that there's still green on the tip of the brush, just because it dyed the brush tip, and that's okay. It's not going to come off on your next project. You're totally okay. And then you just set this aside to dry. Same thing with your sponge. Just gotta rinse it out.
That's crazy.
Looks like we're bleeding in our trash can, but kind of squish some of that out. Clean it out. Dry it. So, just repeating the same steps. Alcohol, squish out, to get everything clean. Kind of the same thing on your hands. I take and just apply some alcohol, kind of go around. This is easier if you do it over the sink because you can just immediately wash your hands. You don't look like you're bleeding everywhere. But same principle.
It's just about to come over
Yeah,
in handy,
thank you.
so-
But you can see how it's like it's removing it. It is alcohol, so it's going to kind of dry out your hands. So wash your hands and then use a lotion on your hands so that your hands don't get really dry. But that's how you will clean up your hands and your brushes. So, alright. Wipe that off to where I kind of made a mess.
So does the alcohol just thin out the alcohol?
It essentially washes it out because this is alcohol ink, so basically it's alcohol with a dye in it. And so whenever you're putting clear alcohol, it just rinses out the other
Rinses out the dye.
alcohol and the dye in the brush. Yeah. So, we have a nice, pretty, colorful trash can now, but at least you'll know how to rinse out your stuff. Like I said, typically I would do it over a sink. I don't have a sink in here, so just gonna go with what we got. Alright, so let me make sure my hands are all dry, no wet alcohol on them. We're gonna move that over there, we're gonna move that over there. I'll let those dry. Now, this next step is totally up to you, whether you want to do this now or after you epoxy. If you're doing this now, make sure there is no wet alcohol or alcohol ink on your hands, and make sure that your cup is completely dry. Okay? Okay. If you don't feel comfortable with this, wait until after you epoxy your cup for the first layer to do this. After the first layer, you should be good to apply your adhesive vinyl, and then you can do, your next coat of epoxy over it, get it nice and smooth before next Saturday when we come back in and finish this cup up. But if you're okay and you're comfortable with doing this, we're going to apply our stripe and our saying, which I typically would let this dry for a couple of hours before I did this, but I'm not gonna have y'all sitting here watching me for a couple of hours while it's drying. We don't want to watch alcohol ink dry or dissipate because it's dry technically now, but we want the alcohol to dissipate off of this. So, what we're gonna do now, actually, will you hand me that other tumbler holder, the straight one right there? Thank you, thank you. I have cup holders all over the place.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Alright. So, for this one, I'm going to use this so it's nice and straight. But first, what you want to do is you want to apply this white strip. When you get ready, if you're not comfortable, don't do this right now. Just watch it. You can come back and watch the replay when you get ready to do this. If you're not comfortable, don't do this. I will tell you, when you apply this, you're not going to be able to lift this back up to reposition it if you don't get it straight. So if you think you're going to have to lift it up, reposition it, whatever, wait until you get your epoxy layer on first, then come back and do this, okay? Alright. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our white stripe on here. I'm going to take, and I'm going to actually cut this edge down.
Vanilla asked, mine's a little sticky. Does that mean it's not dry? Does that mean it's
If
not
it's a
dry
little
yet?
sticky, give it a few more minutes, because it's not totally dry just yet. So what I did is, if you can see this end, see how it has the blue backing on it still? I cut one of my ends down because I need to know that this is going to match up exactly whenever I put this on my cup. And so I cut this one straight. I left the blue on this one, okay? So we're going to put this around our cup. And we're going to center it, this little open white strip here, we're going to center that in the center of our stripe. And you kind of just have to look, like once you get it on here, you just kind of have to look and say, okay, yeah, that looks where it's centered. And then, if your two lines meet, then you're straight, okay? So we want it straight all the way around the cup. And we want to make sure it covers up that little thin white stripe. Okay? Once you've got it on, you know it's going to meet, you know it's going to cover, then we're going to apply this on. what I do is I will take and I will lift back a little bit of my white stripe, take my scissors, I'm going to cut off some of that paper backing, let go, and then I'm going to just literally apply that onto there, get that nice and smooth, and then I'm going to take and I'm just going to work it all the way around my cup. I try not to take this off of the paper backing too much. I'm literally just going around with my hand and slowly and carefully smoothing it on, because since this isn't straight, it's not like a thick straight stripe that we're doing, it can kind of get off if you have too much loose off of that backing. It can get a little off when you're applying it, and then it won't line up at the end. So I'm carefully just running my hand on the other side of this line and applying it on here. Now, when I get almost to the end, we've got about 1.5 inches. I am going to take that off and be very, very careful applying this onto my cup. Before, come here. Before pushing down that last bit, money, don't do that. Make sure that it's going to line up. You can see mine got off a little bit because it kind of fell, but that's okay. But this is a good example. See how it's lifting up some of your ink? This is why if you don't feel comfortable doing it at this step, you need to wait until your cup is epoxied. So you want to match up that last little bit when you get to that point. Mine got off because it fell. That's okay. What I did is I just matched up that top loop and pushed it down, which had me having a little bit of a crease right here. I'm literally just going to take and flatten that out with my fingernail, because it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. You're going to cover it up with rhinestones. So right here where it's off that tiny bit, all I have to do is put a rhinestone over that, and you'll never even know that it's off underneath there. This literally is just giving us a basis to know where to put our rhinestones without having to guess. Okay, do I curve up? Do I curve down? Is this too wide? Is this too thin? This literally is just providing us a template of where to put our rhinestones. So if yours fell like mine did, don't freak out. It's okay. Line up top or bottom the best you can. Smooth out this little crease right here. Whenever you epoxy it, you may have to sand this before putting another coat of epoxy on to get rid of that little crease. It's okay. It's nothing that can't be fixed, I promise. Okay. Alright, so is anybody following along with me and putting your vinyl on right now? If so, let me know. That way I can make sure and pause and let y'all get yours on here, okay? So let me know. If you're waiting, if you'll just let me know too, just say, hey, waiting until I epoxy, that's cool too. I just want to make sure that anybody that is trying to follow along with me doesn't get left behind. Gonna epoxy first, okay? Perfect. If you have any questions when you're doing this, if you're gonna epoxy first, if you have any questions when you're doing this, just make sure and put #replay in front of your question, so that way I know. Yes, I'm done, but it doesn't line up at the end. Michelle says waiting until epoxy. Okay. Teresa, is it way off, or were you able to get it pretty close? I never can put vinyl on straight. That takes some practice too. To finish my thought, sorry. Bunny rabbit chasing. If you have a question whenever you're doing this, if you're watching the replay to put this on after your epoxy, just put #replay before your question, so I know it's a question I need to answer and it wasn't one that was asked during the live, okay? That way I get everybody's questions answered. Teresa, on yours, were you able to get it to match close enough? Because like I said, this literally is just a template for where we're putting our rhinestones. So if it's close enough, we're okay. Let me know. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to my other holder. Okay. If it's way, way off, take a, you can take a craft knife and just kind of curve it around to match, and that way you've got a little more of a shape. If you don't want to do that, and let me see that picture. Oh, yeah, because you've got your white showing also. Are you able to carefully lift it up and like come back a couple of inches and raise it up? Because you have a good chunk of your white showing in that curve, and we don't want it to just be a straight line of white right there. So try to lift up that one area about a couple of inches and see if you can kind of angle it enough up to cover up that white stripe in the middle on your actual cup and bring them a little closer together. Because that's a little too much to be able to cut. So try that and then let me know. Try to smooth down that little crease a little bit more with my fingernails. So we're gonna give her a minute to get that straightened out, and then we're gonna put our black vinyl on the top. And what I do on mine, like right here where these two meet, I want that to be the back of my cup. I don't want that to be directly under my saying, even though you're not going to see it. Like, I don't even know if I could tell you where this one meets. Let's see. So it's a curve up. I'm betting that, just based on the shape, this is probably where mine met in the back here. But like you can't tell. You cannot tell where the vinyl is because I covered it up with my rhinestones. So, but just based on the shape, it's got the little point there, it's got the little point there. This one's kind of a larger, rounded. So based on the shape, that's where my vinyl met, but you can't tell it. But for me, anywhere where I'm wrapping vinyl on a cup, I like to put my seam on the back if I'm putting a saying or something like that. I just like to put that on the back of the cup.
What is the little sticker in our kit for?
A little sticker. Oh, I included a little sticker in y'all's kit if you wanted to make another one with just that decal on it. Or if you just wanted to have a decal. I just wanted to include another decal in your kit. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, Teresa, that looks better. So I would just take your craft knife and kind of come that left little hump. I would just kind of round that out and pull off that little bit off the top. Okay. So to apply this one, I like to have my tumbler stand, and this one will do it too, and I may have to switch because this one might be a little bit tall. This one I got off of Amazon. It's a silicone tumbler stand. So if you put it this way, it angles your cup. If you put it this way, it's straight. But I like to have my cup straight, flat whenever I'm putting on my decal. Just because if I angle it, sometimes the angle makes it look weird and then it's off, and I don't like that. So actually I think I'm going to do this because this one's a little bit too tall. I don't want my head to be in y'all's way. So I'm going to find this where it meets here in the back, the seam of my vinyl. And I'm going to put my finger there and I'm going to turn that around to the back. Okay. Then I'm going to take my black vinyl cut, and these already have transfer tape on them as well. So let's see. I just got to make sure that we're going to fit all of our, I'm going to have to trim this because this is driving me nuts. make sure that all of our seeds fit on our cup and don't overlap the white. And then don't go off the top of our cup. And the good thing too is like the seeds are all separate. So if you have a seed that's overlapping a wave of your white, you can just move it. So let's see, how far am I off of that? There we go. Come back a little bit. Kind of place it and wrap it around. So these two seeds here are kind of close. I kind of moved them, but I will probably pull those up just from where they're lining up on that curve. Yeah. I'm actually going to take my scissors. I'm going to hold it in place where I have it because I kind of like the words and everything else where I've got them. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut these two off. Those two right there underneath the saying. And I'm going to place these on by hand because I don't like where they're hitting on the curve of my white. Bring it down just a hair because we don't want our rhinestones sticking off the top of our cup either. So kind of get it where you like it. Looks good. It looks straight. No rhinestones are going to be hanging off the top of my cup from the seeds. No rhinestones are going to be overlapping my white from the curve now that we cut these two off. Okay, so the same thing. I take and I hold my cut. It's already got the transfer tape on it. I put all the transfer tape on them before they left. Or before I shipped them out. Before they left. Before I shipped them out. So we're going to take and we're going to peel back this transfer tape. If it wants to hold all of our seeds. Come on now. There we go. Grab that one onto there. I did use the lighter tack transfer tape on this one as well. Just because we don't want it to, if you choose to do it on this step, we don't want it to pull off a huge amount of our alcohol ink. Alright, turkey lurkey. That one does not want to come off. I think my holder here, hold on to my cup and my vinyl. So the only part with using a lighter tack tape is that it doesn't always want to stick. Okay, kind of got it started. Alright, hang on. I'm gonna grab my squeegee and squeegee this right quick. I'm gonna go ahead and carefully pull all this away, make sure it's all gonna stick, and then we'll wrap it back around. Especially when we get to these letters, we don't want to be fighting with any of our letters on the cup.
Yeah.
So we're just going to take and lightly pull this backing off, pushing back down anything that sticks. There we go. Alright. And then we'll just lightly place this back on here. Alright, so let's see, where's my back? There's my back. Here's my front. Kind of line it back up carefully right quick again. Alright, here we go. So now we're going to pull this back. Same thing, trim this off a little bit. Lay this part down. And then use our hand to carefully work it around. We're going to make sure that everything is coming off of the paper backing as we do this. Okay, now this right here at the end, make sure that when you put this down, that the vinyl doesn't go over the transfer tape. Yeah, this looks like it's going to be good. Because you don't want your vinyl sticking to your transfer tape. You want the vinyl to the cup, obviously. So, then just give it a light rub over the seeds and the words. And then carefully and slowly pull away that transfer tape. And I just kind of, as y'all can see, kind of wiggle it side to side to pull all that off.
So it kind of does come off on the transfer tape.
Kind of, whenever you do this step, you kind of, let me put this back on here. You can kind of see that some of the alcohol ink does come off on the transfer tape. It's not so much to where it affected anything, like on the cup you can't tell it at all, but you can see that, yes. Alright, so I'm just going to take, and I'm going to use my finger just to carefully rub all of this down, make sure it's good. And then we're going to apply these 2 watermelon seeds. I'm going to cut it in half. And then I'm going to go ahead and just peel the back off of here. It's just 1 seed, so I'm not worried about lining it up or anything like that. We're going to make sure that we're putting it on the right way. And then, let's see, I think I want this one right about here. Put that one there. And then, oops, I stuck that to the back of the other one. Come off, there we go. And then we're going to place our other one. Make sure again it's right side up. And then I'm going to kind of go right above that little dip there. And that's what we've got. So now it's ready to epoxy. And then we will, like I said, we're going to make sure that it's smooth and ready and like we want it with our epoxy coat, because once you put your rhinestones on, you will not epoxy again, okay? But before you epoxy this cup, like I said, you want all of that alcohol to dissipate so it doesn't repel your epoxy, okay? Are we still moving on your end?
Yeah.
Okay. My iPad froze, apparently. So, I'm glad we're still going. Make sure this alcohol completely dissipates. So, let this completely cure and dry all day today. I won't touch mine again until tomorrow. I actually will probably take it home with me so I can epoxy it, the first layer at the house tomorrow. Let that epoxy layer cure. Give it just a light sanding. I'll epoxy it again. And then if that makes everything good to go after the second layer, then we will be ready to resume next Saturday. But this is where we're at right now. Just please, please, please don't try to rush this, okay? We don't want craters in our epoxy from the alcohol repelling. I can't stress that enough. That's why y'all keep hearing me say it. But I just don't want anybody's cup, after all the work that we put in over the last 2 hours, to go to waste. So let that alcohol completely dissipate. Tomorrow you can come in and epoxy it. Let that epoxy layer cure, epoxy it again. I usually do a couple of coats on mine. And then once it's nice and smooth and everything the way I want it, then I'll be ready to go for next Saturday. If y'all have any questions, please just comment on the video, reach out to me. Yeah, don't hesitate to ask me a question. I will be happy to answer. Like I said, just put #replay. That way I know it's still a question I need to answer, and I will get you an answer just as soon as possible.
No question is a dumb question.
Yeah, no question, dumb question. The only dumb question is one that isn't asked because I can't answer it. So, if you have questions, let me know. Does anybody have any questions before we get off of here? How about that? Any burning questions that we need to ask? Let me know. Move that to the side again. I need a little alcohol ink. Great class, learned something new. Yay! That's what we're going for. I am glad you enjoyed it. I know you kind of had a little bit of your stripes not go exactly like you wanted, but that's okay.
Don't freak out.
Yeah, don't freak out. We're learning. It's okay.
It's a learning process.
Yes. Teaching more techniques. I don't expect a perfect cup to come out of every class from y'all. I promise. I don't. So, like I said, I will go and, I can't get the vanilla off the transfer tape. Okay. vanilla. I'm not sure what you're having a problem getting off the transfer tape. Oh, the vinyl. Okay, so turn it over and squeegee it again on the back. I had to do that with mine just because it's a lighter tack tape. So turn it over, squeegee it really good on the back, and just carefully lift that paper backing off as you go. You may have to push down and maybe rub with your finger as you're kind of lifting it up to get it all to stick. And then I just lightly put my transfer tape back on the, my vinyl back on the backing to line it up. So let me know if you're still having problems with that. So I hope everybody enjoyed today's class. I hope y'all learned something new. I hope you're enjoying being in the group. Make sure that you are interacting with the posts. Make sure that you're interacting with the group. I would love to see how y'all's cups came along. If you want to post them, I will post, I'll create a post right after we get off of here of what mine looks like at this stage. I would love for y'all to comment what yours looks like at this stage. Please don't be embarrassed to show what it looks like. We're all learning here. As I stated at the beginning in this group, I will not, love this group, thanks. I will not tolerate any negativity, any bullying, any judging, anything like that. You will be dismissed without refund, without question. You're very welcome, Michelle. I want to keep this a positive, happy, encouraging, learning place, learning space. So I will, like I said, I'm going to post what mine looks like after we get out of here. And then I would love, love, love for you to post what yours looks like right now. And then just interact throughout the weeks when we have the different posts, and even post what you're working on, post what you're sharing. I want this to be an interactive, fun group. So I'm going to hop off of here. Teresa, if you are still having any problems, feel free to call or message or reply. Just let us know. And I'm going to hop off here. I'm going to share what my cup looks like. I'm going to pen the Dropbox that the files are in if you would like to download those and cut any more to do this cup again. You're going to have plenty of alcohol inks to do it again. You're going to have plenty of rhinestones. Because these are the rhinestone bags that I have left. Obviously, you're going to use more of the white than the black, but this is how much I still have left from doing that other cup. So you'd be able to do, I'm going to say safely, 3 of these cups with the rhinestones that were included. So yeah, you will have plenty more. So I will make sure and share that Dropbox. I'll make sure and share my cup. And then if you'll have any questions, reach out, let me know. Hashtag replay on the video, comment, whatever. And I will see y'all in a little while. But have a great weekend. Have a great, safe holiday weekend. And we will see y'all next Saturday. Bye, guys.